I'm going to explain how to do the Build a World assignment. So I like to start out on this assignment by thinking about how this might have worked with other authors or other creative writers. So I want you to think about, most people know at least a little bit about Harry Potter, right? So think about the world of Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling had come up with that idea. She obviously used our real world and then changed it, right? And made it into something new and different. And that's basically what this project does. We're kind of mimicking what a lot of creative writers, what their process starts with. So same with, think of the world of Lord of the Rings. That didn't exist before that creative writer sat down, had an idea, and figured out how to make it seem real. Same with the world of the Hunger Games and Chronicles of Narnia, Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, and Neverland and Peter Pan, right? All of those didn't exist before someone used their imagination and had an idea for a new fictional or fake place or world. So you're going to try and do the same thing. You're going to at least try not to base your world on something that already exists, but to be totally honest, it's impossible to completely make something brand new. If you do, that's extra impressive, but it's okay to kind of use an idea that maybe already exists and then turn it into your own thing. So, the directions have changed a little bit here. You're going to end up writing 20 sentences. You get to break it up however you want. So you'll notice over here, there are a ton of different options. You do not need to do all of these. You get to pick and choose the ones that you actually like and skip the ones that you don't like. You get to choose, like maybe I want to write 5 sentences here, and I'm going to write 2 here, and I'm going to write 3 here, and maybe I'll do all the rest of the 10 on this one here. You can break it up however you want. If you want to do 20 slides, 1 sentence each. If you want to do 10 slides, 2 sentences each, doesn't matter to me as long as you end up doing about 20 sentences total. So, while you're building this fictional world, I want you to consider that we will use these ideas in the future. So today, you're creating this new place that is the setting for a future story. We're not writing the story yet. We're just brainstorming the place. Then in the future, we're going to have another assignment where you're going to build a character. And that character, we're also going to try and make them seem real, even though they're totally fictitious, they're fake. But that character will work with our world that we're creating today. So what I'm trying to get at here is we're going to use this again in the future. So make sure you're thinking of something you actually enjoy, because this is just step 1 in a 3-part mini project. All of the parts are completely separate, but they will end up working together and linking together by the end. Today we're building a world, in the future we'll build a character, and then we'll use those 2 things to then write a story. And again, this whole process is something that real creative writers do. So another thing before I show you some of the options here, some people make their world totally silly and ridiculous, and that's absolutely fine. Some people want to do kind of a fancier, more creative, interesting world, like something like Lord of the Rings. You choose. I don't mind. I want you to be able to enjoy this, so you pick for yourself. So one of the options, remember, you get to pick and choose the ones you want. One of the options is to describe the place or the location of your fictional world. Maybe it's maybe it's on Earth, but maybe it's in the bottom of the ocean. Or maybe it's not on Earth. Maybe it's totally some alien planet, right, where they all live in the clouds. You get to make it up. You could describe if they have weather or seasons. Do they function like our weather or seasons, or are they totally different? I'm going to call them beings, because maybe on your fictional world, there's no humans. Maybe they're creatures or monsters. So describe who's the main inhabitants, who's living, who's the main species on your world. Is there a name? And again, if there's not, skip it, right? If this one doesn't work for your fictional world. How do they communicate? Maybe they communicate just like I'm doing now, right? I'm talking, but maybe they communicate by interpretive dance, or maybe they communicate by reading each other's minds. You get to make it up. Do they have culture? So think about your social studies class, right? Do they have special, like, dances that they do, or do they have certain celebrations, right? All of those things might be part of culture. Do they cover themselves with stuff like clothes, or are they more like an animal where they just have fur? How do they eat? How do they get nutrition? Do they eat food like us, or maybe they like photosynthesize light like plants do? You get to make it up. Do they have government or laws? Maybe they don't. Maybe they're a totally lawless society where it's everybody for themselves. Do they have morals? Morals are kind of a fancy way of saying what's right or what's wrong. So for example, It's good to help people in need, right? It's wrong to steal candy from a baby, right? Those are ideas of what's right or wrong. Do they have manners? How do they get along with other beings? Or maybe they don't. Maybe it's all one big fight. Do they have an education system? Do they have a school like we do? Or maybe they learn by plugging a cord into their brain and it downloads all the information they need. You get to make this up. Do they have work? Do they have a job? What do they do for entertainment? And similar, do they have sports? Like think of J.K. Rowling, right, with Harry Potter. Quidditch didn't exist before she creatively wrote that idea. So you could do the same with your fictional world. Do they have holidays? Do they have religion? Or maybe they don't have religion, but maybe they're superstitious in some way. Do they have special traditions? Like a special tradition in my family for Christmas, we eat lasagna instead of like most people for Christmas will eat ham, right? So traditions. Do they have transportation? How do they get around? Do they have flying cars? Do they just have to walk everywhere? Do they ride other animals on the world? Where do they live? Do they live in caves? Do they live in the clouds? You get to make all of this up. How do they interact with other creatures or beings on the world? Do they have pets? How complex are their minds? Or are they like cavemen, where they just are pretty simple? What are their senses like? We see, hear, taste, touch, and smell in our way, but maybe they taste with their fingertips and they smell with their ears, right? It could be as creative and as weird as you want. Do they have money? How do they pay for things? Do they pay for things using rubber ducks? If they did, I would be rich on their world, right? How do they interact with their world? Are they really respectful of their world? Are they just destroying it while they mine for gold, right? You think that's something you could think about, but remember, you can skip the ones that don't work for you. How do they deal with time? Is time similar to how it works on our world? Maybe your fictional world has magic. Maybe it doesn't. So you could describe that. Who are the predators? Who are the prey? Are your beings the predators or are they the prey? How did they come to be? Did they crawl out of the ocean? Are they just a big experiment from aliens and aliens put them on your fictional world? And if that wasn't enough options, if you have a different idea, you can do anything else. So again, all of these ideas should hopefully lead you to creating a new fictional world. So if you do have extra time, you can earn coins by doing more than the 20 sentences total. You can also earn extra coins by adding pictures to support what you've written. So there you go. Build a fictional world.